Hey, geeks and gamers, and welcome to an editorial. I wanted to get something out real quick because it's Thanksgiving week, and I'm going to be busy most of the week, so I just wanted to get an editorial out there this week so I have something up and something for you to enjoy. And I figured I would talk about some games I've been playing recently. In particular, two games that have a similar theme, but are vastly different. 2025 has been a great year to be a Pac-Man fan. I have been a huge fan of Pac-Man since I was very young. And you know, I don't know if it's something that I talk about as often on this channel, but I definitely love Pac-Man. Some of my earliest YouTube content that has since been destroyed has been was Pac-Man related. One of my first ever YouTube crossovers was Pac-Man related. And I have since kind of fallen into my own niches, Atari and EDF and all these things that I like. But I've never let go of that love of Pac-Man, and I'm still always really excited for Pac-Man Games, and whenever there's Pac-Man products and stuff that comes out, I've always followed that. So, this year, in 2025, we have had two brand new games that use the Pac-Man IP in interesting ways. The first one here is Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac, which is a remake of Pac-Man World 2. Pac-Man World 1, the Re-Pac they did for that one, I liked a lot. I played that back when it came out. I streamed it over on Twitch. I don't know if that stream there was preserved or not, but I liked the first Re-Pac a lot. I thought it was really good. But I was never as attached to the first World game as I was the second one. Growing up, I played a lot of Pac-Man World 2. It was one of my favorite games, and I honestly think it's like one of the best 3D platformers of all time. It's very good. So whenever they announced they were doing a Re-Pac of World 2, I was on board. I liked what they did with the first Re-Pac, and I was a little nervous because I hold 2 so near and dear to my heart. But I'm here to tell you that Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac is awesome. What they did with this game is great. I think they've kept everything intact that made Pac-Man World 2 special, while improving aspects that I didn't even consider going into this. They improved some of the boss fights. They vastly changed a lot of the boss fights. The original game had some cookie-cutter boss fights. They gave all new boss fights to a lot of the boss sections in the game. They added just better control, doing your rev roll to get from place to place. Used to be sections where you had to do rev rolling in really precarious areas. Felt a little uncontrollable in the original version. I felt like there was times where I rev rolled and I landed on the platform I was aiming for and then kind of rolled off. It felt like it was harder to really stop your momentum. That's not a thing in this one. I haven't had any issues doing the rev roll parts in this game, so that's great. And on top of that, this game actually has extra content. Of course, there is DLC. There's a Sonic-based DLC where you can play through a couple Sonic stages and a boss fight. It's cute, but that's not what I'm talking about. On top of the main game, which is already a pretty good, decent length, there's post-game content. They added new content where you play through hard versions of the original stages, and sort of like a weird dark world situation and hard boss fights, and it's fun. It's great, and I really liked what they did with the post-game content. I was super surprised to see that in this game. I've been having a blast with World 2 Re-Pac. It's, I think that to finish everything in the game, not 100%, not to collect everything, 'cause that would take you a while, but to fully beat all of the stages and the post-game content is about 10 to 11 hours, so pretty decent length for a 3D platformer. If you've been considering this one, I really recommend it. It might be one of my top games of 2025. And speaking of which, I've also been playing Shadow Labyrinth. Now, Shadow Labyrinth is interesting because it came out I think back in like July. And I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this. Now, Shadow Labyrinth is part of an ongoing franchise for Namco. If you're familiar with the UGSF timeline, if none of that made sense to you, if you know any of the games by Namco, like Galaga, Dig Dug, Mr. Driller, Burning Force, Galaxian, Xevious, Bosconian, Gapless, like, there's so many games. You can find, there's a website where you can see it. There's so many games that make up this timeline of games that are all connected. And Cyber Sled, you didn't think I was going to mention Cyber Sled today, did you? And Shadow Labyrinth is interesting because it's actually part of this ongoing franchise. And it's the first time they've ever incorporated anything Pac-Man related into this timeline. And so, playing Shadow Labyrinth, it's a 2D Metroidvania in the style of games like Ori and the Blind Forest, but it's got it's a dark themed game, and it's all connected to this timeline, the UGSF timeline or whatever the hell it's called, and you'll meet characters that are like Bosconian, or characters that are like mentioned, like Emperor Galaga, or you'll meet Dig Dug enemies, or you'll fight a boss that's inspired by Xevious. All sorts of classic Namco stuff all throughout this game. But you play as the swordsman, and you're followed around by a little robot named Puck, and Puck essentially acts as the Pac-Man stand-in. And so what's interesting is that you'll play through normal, like, Metroidvania platforming and battles and upgrades and stuff. And then you'll find certain areas on the map that have like these blue neon bars where you can turn into Puck and do a lot more like Pac-Man type stuff. And then you can also find these shrines. And the shrines are interesting because I didn't encounter my first shrine until like I was 7 hours in. By the way, this game's long as fuck. This game is like 30 to 40 hours. It's crazy. If you're a Metroidvania fan, you're getting your money's worth with this game. Like 7 hours in, I found my first shrine, and the shrine looks like the Pac-Man maze. And when you enter, you start playing Pac-Man, and it's essentially Pac-Man Championship Edition 3. Like, it feels very much in the vein of the Championship Edition games. And I was like, you don't see this till you're 7 hours in. Like, there's people that are gonna pick up Shadow Labyrinth because they like Pac-Man, and they're gonna put it down, and they're never gonna see the classic mazes. And they're awesome. And I don't want to tell you that like Shadow Labyrinth is perfect, because I definitely don't think it is. I think there's a lot of room for improvement with the game's like combat and the game's animation and a lot of the storytelling. Like, the story in this game is just gobbledygook nonsense, basically. I play it for the fun gameplay and like exploration, but I'm kind of upset that like this game's been overlooked. A lot of people didn't play it or haven't been talking about it because it's cool. Shadow Labyrinth is really cool, and I have been very much enjoying it. And yeah, if you're a fan of classic Pac-Man and Metroidvanias, this game is well worth it. It has nothing to do with like Pac-Man in terms of like the Pac-Man World or anything like that, and it's not some like reboot. It's just some Pac-Man adaptation into another Namco franchise. Like, the ghosts, whenever you meet the ghosts, they take over enemies, and they aren't the ghosts. They're aliens called the G-Hosts. Get it? G-Host, ghost. And Puck does eat enemies, and it's kind of like terrifying looking. Like, he turns into like this big, like, Lovecraftian version of Pac-Man and eats things. But yeah, there's like a lot of like original elements here too, and so I think a lot of people maybe saw this when it was shown and being like, "Oh man, is this like a dark iteration of Pac-Man? Is this Pac-Man Act Zero?" You know? But no, it's just a part of another Namco franchise, and I have been thoroughly enjoying that because I am a huge fan of Namco and their properties, more specifically their arcade properties. So this game has been a treat for me to play through. And yeah, if you're a Pac-Man fan, I think this year's a good year. People don't really talk about a lot of the Pac-Man releases. I think the only time I ever heard people really kind of talk about Pac-Man in a big way was when the first Championship Edition came out. I think that was a pretty decently big deal. But other than that, I think these games kind of come out and they perform pretty well to okay, and then that's kind of it. Like, the Pac-Man franchise is a very strange franchise. I've wanted to do a video kind of examining the different entries in this franchise for a long time. But these two games, I think both of them are worth it, and both of them are like $30 to $40. So definitely, for the price of one full price game, you could get these two very different Pac-Man experiences that I think are both worth trying out. So let me know in the comments if you've played Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac or Shadow Labyrinth, or if you want to check them out. In the meantime, have a happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you guys in another video, probably next week. Bye!